All right, so let's list the first 6 multiples of 10. Multiples are basically 10 times 1, 10 times 2, 10 times 3. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 are the first 6 multiples of 10. The first 6 multiples of 15, well, 15 times 2 is 30. Add another 15, get 45. Another 15, get 60, 75, 90. So what numbers do these two sets have in common? And I notice that they both have a 30 and they both have a 60. So from just these two, 30 and 60. So from these lists, we can see that 30 and 60 are common multiples of 10 and 15. That is, 30 and 60 are numbers that are divisible by 10 and divisible by 15, both evenly. The smallest of the multiples is 30. That's called the least common multiple. So said another way, 30 is the smallest number that both 10 and 15 can be divided into evenly. Listing multiples is one way to find the least common multiple. So that was one way we can do this. There are other methods that are more efficient, such as my personal favorite, the factor ladders. For instance, suppose we want to find the least common multiple of 60 and 72 with a factor ladder. You begin by dividing out common factors of each number, such as 2, then continue to divide by common factors until 1 is the only common factor left. The product of the common factors with the remaining numbers will be the least common multiple. So here we go. We start off, so we want to find the least common multiple of 60 and 72. So I write them in, and they're both divisible by 2. So I'll put a 2 over here and divide them by 2. So that's where I get the 30 and the 36. Now I can divide them by 2 again, and I end up with 15 and 18. Those are both divisible by 3, so I'll go ahead and divide out 3, and I'm left with 5 and 6. So if I take these 3 numbers, the 2 times 2 times 3, and then the remaining 5 and 6, I multiply them all together, 2 times 2 times 3 times 5 times 6, I get 360. That's the least common multiple of 60 and 72. So let's try a couple more. Between 36 and 90. So these are both, let's say these are both divisible by 9. So 36 divided by 9 is 4. 90 divided by 9 is 10. And not quite done yet. Looks like I can divide these by 2. And I'll be left with 2 and 5. And at that point I am done. So the least common multiple of 36 and 90 would be 9 times 2 times 2 times 5. So that's going to be 9 times 2 is 18. 2 times 5 is 10. So that's 180. So the least common multiple of 36 and 90 is 180. 210 and 30, or 300. Well, they're both divisible by 10. And then they're both divisible by 3. Okay. So it looks like the least common multiple for 210 and 300 is 10 times 3 times 7 times 10. So 10 times 10 is 100. 3 times 7 is 21. So this is going to be 2100 or 2100. The least common denominator for a set of fractions is the smallest number each denominator will divide exactly. So you can think of it as the least common multiple of the denominators for a set of fractions. So for instance, if I want to find the least common denominator for each pair of fractions, for part A, my denominators are 15 and 3. So I can pull out a 3, and I'll be left with 5 and 1. And I can see that my least common denominator is going to be 15. 3 times 5. For the next one, my denominators are 14 and 21. Those are both divisible by 7, and I'll be left with 2 and 3. So my least common denominator here would be 7 times 2 times 3, which is 42. And for this third one, my denominators are 16 and 18. So I can divide out by 2, get 8 and 9. Okay. So my least common denominator is going to be 2 times 8 times 9, and that looks like 144.